The Southern Alberta Council on Public Affairs acknowledges that we are gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains, and we pay respect to the Blackfoot people, past, present, and future, while recognizing and respecting their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land. We offer respect to the Métis and all who have lived on this land and made Lethbridge their home.
This year marks the 24th ATB Financial Lethbridge Rotary Dragon Boat Festival. Karen is the festival chair for Dragon Boat Canada, the Dragon Boat Association of Southern Alberta, and coaches the Coulee Cruisers and the U-24 Junior Cruisers. Wendy has worked in the museum community at Fort Calgary, Galt Museum and Archives, and the Lethbridge Military Museum. She was conscripted into the abreast Dragon Boat team in 2000. Karen and Wendy will share some of the festival's early beginnings. Please join me in welcoming them.
For the height, yes. Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having us, Sakba. This is not the right time of year for me to be doing anything other than being at the lake, but and I'm really tired. So if I run out of words, somebody can help me. Really pleased to be here, and thank you for coming. Wendy's going to start us off.
5 years ago, in 2020, we decided we were going to celebrate our 20th anniversary. And then, of course, all of that cratered. But I did get a chance to talk to some of our early members. And it was lovely to bring them to my home, turn on a camera, and have coffee with them. And we had conversations about their memories of starting the Best of Bridge. And so I'm going to let them tell the rest of the story.
En dat was March the 1st, 1999. And there were 5 of us present there. It was Diane Randall, Susan Giffen. It was Estelle Warnica, Grace Kelly, and me. Right. And so just to get together and find out if we wanted to start a group and if we were starting a group, what we would do, and set some goals. So here I have notes from that first meeting. And one of the goals was like hiking, whitewater rafting, one of the other thing was doing the West Coast Trail, and that type of thing. So coming together and be active, and then we started out walking on Monday nights around Henderson Lake.
It was Carolyn who first got wind of dragon boating for breast cancer, and she brought the idea, and to her credit, Diane ran with it.
Contacted the people in Calgary, the Dragon Boat Club in Calgary, and said, we want to kind of try this out to see if this is something we might enjoy doing from time to time, right? There was never anything about we were going to take this on. And so arranged with Linda Roberts, who was with the Calgary Canoe and Kayak Club, and she made arrangements with the Dragon Boat and had a friend of hers come out with us to show us, to give us the experience. And so we paddled the Glenmore Dam as a team, as a group, not thinking that we would do this. But I can't believe the high that everybody came off that boat with.
I would say we fell in love with being out on the water and paddling. The canoe club in Calgary offered us a Voyager canoe.
Many things surprised me, but I think the surprise was how well we did in our first race in Calgary. Despite being swamped, despite being new, being nervous, the wind, we knew the wind, but I can still see Stacy at that front of the boat, 8 months pregnant, telling us that we can do this. And we're going, but we're knee deep in water. are we really going to do this? You know, but we didn't doubt it.
We were very novice, and I remember our goal, you know, we laughed and we said, okay, well, the only true goal we have at this festival is that we finish every race going forward.
I also was,
Were you
Susan
visited?
got
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I said, I'm afraid of water and I can't swim. Mom, what are you, nuts? Yeah.
That's what I said too. I don't like water, and I don't swim. Where you going? That started it.
He used the analogy of one organism, and the organism was to work together to move the boat forward. And he talked about that a lot, how we had to be together. And at one point, in a big, loud voice, Brent said, "Now, ladies, together, like one big orgasm."
And then the YW got on very quickly because you
Yes.
were going there
Did to for
and
our
let
exercise.
us go and use
Yeah.
their equipment. And we used to go with one of the coaches and into the weight room, and we did exercising down in the exercising room. And then I don't know when they
Lucky
started
when-
paying
was it?
$5 and being able to use that gym
Gym.
always for years.
Businesses and organizations really took to us. We were a group of older women who were really making a splash in the community, and the community of Lethbridge really almost adopted us.
Diane and Ian were in a coffee shop one afternoon, and she ran into Jack Rainier, who lived close to the lake, and he had been watching us on the lake in this Voyager canoe. So he wanted to know more about us, and so we said we were practicing to be able to race in a dragon boat. Him being a very serious Rotarian and a long time standing Rotarian, went back to all of the clubs in Lethbridge. At the time there was 2 and one just getting started, and suggested they do a fundraiser to raise money to buy us a dragon boat. Abreast Bridge was the first dragon boat team in Lethbridge.
Yes.
You know, long before anybody even knew what dragon boating was, we were out there doing our thing. So,
Yeah.
Well, and I think it was this group that was the stimulus for the first Lethbridge Festival.
That's how it started.
yes,
The rose ceremony was always.
Can you describe it for me?
It was the same as we continue to do. The race is well, no, I think it's changed now in terms of some of the scheduling. But the breast cancer survivor team race happens, then they unload and they come down to the bridge onto the island. Very moving, and I think the community was really taken with that.
it was Sheila Matson
Yeah. And I think
sang it. Yeah.
And was it the Rose that she
Yeah,
was
the
singing?
Rose,
yeah.
So right from the very beginning,
Yeah.
that song has been sung.
Yes.
We weren't really sure what we would call ourselves, and many suggestions were made. And at some point, we landed on Abreast of Bridge. And so I offered to write the letter to Best of Bridge and just tell them what was going on, explained to them that we were cancer survivors, we lived in Lethbridge, we sat side by side in a boat, and we wanted to call ourselves Abreast of Bridge. We got back a letter written on the signature paper that the cookbooks are all done on. And shall I read the letter? Thank you for your excellent letter. We are delighted to be mistakenly associated with Abreast of Bridge. We wish you all the best of luck in your dragon boat racing. You're winners anyway.
And I often think, if I wouldn't have taken Diane up on that offer to come and walk,
Yeah, same
I
for
would
me.
have missed all those years.
In 2005, the International Dragon Boat races in Vancouver.
Vancouver again.
60 teams in Falls Creek.
Mm-hmm.
And the opening ceremony with Dr. Don McKenzie and
Yeah.
his original team.
He started the Vancouver.
Well,
He studied first to
Was
see
it a
if it was
trial?
going
Yes.
to bother, because that's why they told you don't lift here and don't do this and don't do that. So he did a study.
there was some
Yeah.
breast
They-
cancer.
yeah.
They'd had breast cancer, and they said, "We'll be your guinea pigs." And they proved that the upper body movement was good for recovery.
Corvenray Farms became a huge sponsor, and after Christine died, and I believe it was in Christine's will that part of her money would come to help us buy our own real boat, the Christine. And it was a year on Henderson Lake when dragonflies were numerous. And Christine just loved the dragonflies. And after she was gone, we all went out to paddle, and they came by. And we knew that Christine was there, and Carol was there, and Irene was there. And those dragonflies were really special.
You know that you've got those friendships, sister friendships. Really, we're close, and we care about each other. If somebody's having surgery or somebody's got a reoccurrence of cancer, we feel it and we embrace them. And I mean, the paddling and everything was great, but I just think that closeness, because of our background in breast cancer, when we've all been through it with different stages, we just have such a bond, such a connection.
We wanted to start with the true story of dragon boating, the beginnings in Lethbridge. Can I have everybody that has been in touch with or a part of abreast bridge put your hand up? Yeah. Thank you. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about what actually happened after Mr. Rayner got his idea to do the fundraiser, and we'll talk a little bit more about the details of that. We can have that first. Oh, is this one? Do I point it at that? There we go. So dragon boating is a very old sport, 2,500 years we've been told. Just recently we celebrated Dragon Boat Festival National Day, or it's International Day, and we had the Chinese Association do a presentation, and they had a youth that did a skit on the origins of dragon boating. It was really well done. So the next time we invite everybody to the lake for that, please come. They did an amazing job. No, it was on the 5th day of the 5th month of the lunar calendar is Dragon Boat Festival Day. So that was the day that we celebrated. I'm going to turn this over to Wendy.
So you heard several of our interviewees talk about a canoe from Calgary. The Calgary Canoe and Kayak Organization owned the Abreast Bridge, their very first boat. It was not a dragon boat. It was a 10-seater Voyager canoe. And canoes and dragon boats are paddled differently. There are more people in a dragon boat, but this is where they started. And they lived with the idiosyncrasies of this Voyager canoe. It leaked. So these dragon boats that the Rotary Club fundraising helped Abreast to buy. The idea was to buy one used boat initially, but the fundraising was so successful that they were able to buy two. So Abreast used one of them, rented the other boat to, I think it was Team ID, and lake to enjoy the sport with Abreast.
So if you're interested in dragon boats, one of these is currently in the foyer of the exhibition, and it'll be there until the end of our Dragon Boat Festival next weekend. Thank goodness we moved the date, because this weekend is supposed to be absolutely horrible. So batten down the hatches. That's the right one. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the little screen here, and it's not working. So the Dragon Boat Committee was formed for the first Dragon Boat Festival in 2002. I wanted to just talk about some of the people that have been around for a very, very long time. I call them the mainstays. So Diane Randall and Bergamoen have been in and out of the committee for years and years. Chris McLean is here. Chris has been there probably longer than I have. I wanted to actually, Jill Scriver and Brian Shockley did our entertainment for years and years and years and years. And Valerie McQuaid has taken over from them. And then Chris Yock has been our vendor guy forever, ever. I wanted to also thank the Chinese community right from the start, has always been extremely supportive. And we just this year actually formed a society. It's a long time coming, so usually what had happened before was we were told as a Rotarian to chair the committee, and then we would rotate. And rotating chairs just means that nobody ever learns anything, and it has been on everyone to be able to do this. So I'm really pleased now. I also wanted to do a shout out to Brian Treadwell. He was, he's been the voice of the festival forever. Why do we host a festival? There's all kinds of reasons, but I just think it's just such a great event, and it's been done so well. And those of us that are sticking around forever and ever and can never retire, right, Chris? It's a passion. We just love it. It's just, and to see all those people cross the finish line pointed in the right direction at the end of the day is really why I'm there. However, Susan's here from the Sport Council. The Sport Council has an initiative to take all of the sport events in town and assess them. So it's the Sport Tourism Economic Assessment Model. So this is from last year's event. That's a big number up there. That's a big number. We provide a huge influx of people and money to town. I think that we need to talk about that a lot. So in 2002, our first festival had 17 crews. Now I stole from Diane Randall used to go out after the festival and talk it up. And so in that picture there is how we used to do the timing. So the guys would all stand in a row on the little island and have their stopwatches and then argue about who actually won. This is the most interesting picture, though. That was wavy. I think last year the waves might have been just as big. And thank God we aren't going out this weekend. This is just, so once we ended up with some boats going over, we decided we're going to actually do some safety testing. So that was kind of fun. So this is what I fondly call the safety, the Soggy Bottom Boys. So this is the first festival, and the firefighters or heavy. And they tried to turn at the end of the race and swamp the boat. So, and they didn't do a safety count. It was horrible. So races between 2003 and 2006, it got really important because of our waves to keep track. The stats of whether we completed the races or not became important in those days. 2006, 48 teams, 32 local. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is the number of crews that I've had been able to keep track of. We show 2024 as having 84 crews. That almost killed me. There was way too many. So we can overfill. And I can't say no to anything, as most of you know who are here. And so somebody would have a story that, oh, we've been in the festival every year, Karen, and we missed the deadline. And yeah, 84, it was awful. But everybody had a wonderful time. So I tried to come down even more this year, but we have 74 crews. And it will be a really great weekend. In about 2003, we had teams that started to participate in other festivals. We were growing the sport. Oh, this is, yeah, I started working with the festival in 2008. So in 2009, we decided that we better start doing some rescues practice. So that meant I had to jump into Henderson Lake. It was awful. And then we'd wait for the water rescue guys to come from the fire department. And so we would practice pulling each other in and out. It was fun after the initial shock. We always went very early in the year so that it wasn't the scummy part of the lake. We honor the culture of dragon boating, and it's part of the opening ceremonies, part of the closing ceremonies. This year too, we have the festival has through a donation and prior year funding or prior year surpluses, we've purchased 4 festival boats. And so on Friday night at 5 o'clock, we're going to bless those boats at the main dock. So if you're interested in some of our cultural experience, please come to that.
And the dragon boat, the dragon dances.
Yes, the dragon dance is, well, it's actually a lion dance. It's wonderful, but that'll be at the opening ceremonies. It'll be great. So the beer garden. There's a kind of a beer bong in the back there. I think that was the Regina guys. Chris, do you remember who? Yeah. So the beer garden is a great place to be at the end of the races. I love the entertainment piece of this brings the community really into our festival. You don't have to be a paddler to be there. The local talent that is showcased is just absolutely amazing. We've been really lucky to have Jill and now Valerie getting all of our local entertainment, and even people they want to come. They want to come. The rose ceremony. I'm going to turn it back over to Wendy.
Since the very first Dragon Boat Festival in Vancouver that you heard about, that Dr. Mackenzie's team was involved in, they have a rose ceremony, and it's a very heartwarming, very sensitive, and sometimes very sad opportunity for people to gather. And there's always a very large audience on the shore. All the Dragon Boat teams come on to the peninsula over the bridge, and they're carrying a rose where we have an anonymous donor who gives us those roses every year. And then after a few little short speeches, the music, this rose is sung or played, and people tear their rose apart. And every petal that goes into that water is them remembering someone that they've lost to cancer.
Thank you, Wendy. It's a wonderful ceremony. If it's right around noon on Saturday. So if you're at the festival, please come and take part in it. It is very moving. And great way to honor those that have passed on. I wanted to talk a little bit about what's happened with so once dragon boating started, and there was all these Rotarians that didn't know a whole lot about dragon boating, trying to volunteer and run the place. The Dragon Boat Association of Southern Alberta started in around 2007, 2008, and we have close to 200 members now. And July 7th, 8th, we have 6 of our youth that are heading to Germany with the Canadian national team. So we've done really, really well. We have adults that also go. I think we have three adults this year from our club heading to Germany as well. Boating is a part of Lethbridge. If you're at Henderson Lake, we're there every night. Maybe too much. Do you have anything else? And so in closing, I'd just like to say thank you very much for listening to our story. Hopefully that helped you find out how to start something and how to keep it going.
We thank the LSCO who have provided this room free of charge, and thank you for patronizing their lunch counter. We thank the University of Lethbridge for their ongoing support. We thank the Lethbridge Herald and other media for the coverage and support. Thank you. And we thank Rogers TV for recording our sessions and making them available on the Rogers Community TV, sacpa.ca archives, and on YouTube. And we also thank Tangle Media for sponsoring and helping out with our website. So, we also have a suggestion box, or you can give suggestions via email at info@sacpa.ca. So we're always welcome as ideas from our members on future talks. So we're now going to the question and answer time. If you would please come and line up along here and ask your question. If you don't feel like coming to ask the question yourself, you can write it down on a piece of paper and handle it to me, and I will ask it for you. So please state your name and your question, and please limit your questions to no more than 2 at a time to help the speakers answer. Amen.
Thank you very much for coming and giving some background to the abreast of bridge involvement and spark for the Dragon Festival. I'm Bev Mundell-Atherstone, and I was in that very first boat that was swamped. It was not firemen. It was the first Rotary Dragon boat that we had. In fact, Jack Rainier was in that boat. And Ian Randall was our steersman. So what actually happened, it wasn't fat firemen, it was fat Rotarians. But that wasn't the reason. No. We sacrificed ourselves. So what happened was we were ahead of the other groups, and we were heading towards winning, when another boat that was very close to us was aimed straight for us, and we could see that we were going to collide. At that moment, Ian Randall said, "Paddles up." We all put our paddles up, and at that moment, a wave came into our boat and sank us. And it's the most incredible feeling, sinking, feeling, that your feet go out from under you and you slowly go into the water, and then the boat just flipped over and we went the other way, and then we were all wet. So that was just in an instant. The firemen and police were there in an instant, and they took Jack Rainier and Peter Green out first because they were the oldest. I was next because I had asthma. So they were really good at getting us out so that we didn't get cold and get hypothermia. So I just want to mention that Rotary has been the absolute stalwarts behind the volunteers and support and fundraising for this. And Henning and I and many people from our club were out there most of the days of the festival, and in particular Chris and Bev Lance from our club were heading it up many years, especially right at the beginning. So this really is a wonderful way to bring together the whole community. And thank you for preserving memories with your video. And I noticed our good friend Terry Vogt, who used to be with CTV, was the producer. So thanks to Terry Vogt, and thank you, ladies. Thank you.
The Rotarians also flipped their boat in those early years at the dock as well.
Thank you so much for your presentation today. I tried dragon boating about 20 years ago, and it was so different. I was part of a snapping turtle team. We came in last. But now I'm in the LSCO Dragon Boat this year, and it's so much fun. The instructors are amazing. I have learned so much that you don't need muscles here. It's all here. And I also learned, like, the hardest thing this time around, 20 years later, the glutes are formerly called the buttocks. You know, I had to get padding, and local people, high level, they sell you padded, what are they called? Padded shorts. They're amazing. I have a, but anything you need now you can get. But I've had so much fun, and I think I'd do it again. But okay, my question. Sorry, didn't mean to be long-winded. What do you do in the wintertime when you're focusing on international races?
Good question. Thanks, Carol. Carol and I used to drum together many moons ago. Winter training is not easy, but we do it. We have what's called a PERG, so a paddling ergometer. So it's just like a rowing machine, but you paddle. And currently we all have them in our basements, and so all winter long, twice a week, all the youth would come to my basement. It was very smelly. They would do all their warm-ups outside, so all my neighbors knew them. They were told they couldn't park in front of anybody else's house. But we've just engaged with the Henderson Golf Club to move in there for the winter. So we'll have our PERGs there, which will be amazing because then we can train more than 2 at a time. So my time limit for coaching won't be 4 hours a night, but maybe 2 or 3. And so that's one thing. We also go to Nicholas Pool and do poolside training as well. And then there's all the weightlifting and everything else that goes with it.
The ladies of Abreast Bridge are not quite that energetic and quite that athletic. We are all, well, I think the average age for our team is 68. And we have a lady who's in her 80s that is still paddling. But every Saturday, as the original 3, Estelle Warnick, Diane Randall, and Susan Giffen started, they walked. Monday evening, it became Saturday morning. We still walk every Saturday morning down in the river valley. And so we encourage our members to do weights and walk more often and do whatever exercise, but not quite to that level.
I'm Bev Trainer, and that's better, thank you. I was part of the sister ship Dragon Boat team. So I was at the first festival
that you people had. So there's people in here that I've dragon boated against. And I remember that Voyager that we sent down here, and yes, it leaked, because we practiced in it on Glenmore Reservoir. So it's been a long history. We always viewed Lethbridge as the best festival that you could go to. And we went to a lot, as you can imagine. So I really have to apologize. I don't have a question. But I wanted to share the fact that this history is astounding to me still, because at that time, it wasn't a popular thing for women with breast cancer to be doing. And how it's evolved is just heartwarming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome.
Hello, my name is Knut Peterson. I have a really, really simple question. How important are the drummers? Because I don't think the paddlers are always in sync with the drummer. So how important is the drummer?
Good question. Internationally, the rules are that you must drum. It's keeping the culture. So the original story was there was a poet who committed suicide, and all of his town mates went drumming so that the fish wouldn't get at him. So the drumming is very historical, it's part of the culture. But the drummer, and yes, timing is of the essence, because that's how you win a race, is to stay in time. But the drummer is also a huge piece of the safety, because they're looking backwards and the steer is looking forwards. So they are critical in my opinion, and they typically yell a lot, right, Chris?
They're our biggest cheerleader on the boat, and as their voice level gets up, you know you're doing well, and you know you have to keep paddling. So yeah, the drummer is very important to that. They're setting that pace. And remember what Susan said about that great big O? That being together, that being one organism is so critical. If you lose your timing, you're losing your time on the lake. You're losing your time in the race. So absolutely important.
Hello, I'm Katie Aurora, and I have a question. If I wanted to start actually doing some dragon boating, where or how would I go about doing that?
See me after. So the Dragon Boat Association is, right now, people are still recruiting for festival teams. And we have one team liaison person does connect people to, there is a place on the website to put your name. And if you just contact anybody at the Dragon Boat Association, we will get you going. We have teams for every age, every what team that'll fit you.
When Abreast of Bridge started, it was for breast cancer survivors only. That we would open up our membership to any woman who's had cancer of any type. And we also encourage people who are supporting members of their family or members of the team to participate as well. Because we are actually two teams. We are our breast cancer team or our cancer team, but we're also a ladies team, and we're in every single ladies race.
Hi, Leona Jacobs. So my question has to do with the festival itself, and I know that it's grown over the years because I've watched it grow over the years. Can you talk about the international, like where the other teams come from? And is there an international visitation, I guess? So.
Thanks, Leona. Locally, we get teams from Manitoba to BC, and there's almost always one or two from Montana. So we do have a team from Bozeman coming this year, and all the way across Canada. So there are teams, the team from Manitoba actually is participating in the Concord this weekend in Vancouver. I think Chris is at 35 years, the breast cancer. So they're celebrating their 35th anniversary. So that team is going there and then flying here for our festival. So typically that's about the range of hours, but I was just in Italy in September competing in the international event. So every second year the national teams get together, so they're going to Germany this year. And last year was a club crew, so it's a club, so club teams. You have to earn a spot, but club teams go internationally. And I think next year it's in Taiwan, Taipei. So it's all over the world. And there's festivals all over Canada that are just amazing. So,
hi, I'm Henning Mundel. I know you. First, a quick comment and then two quick questions. And the comment is that over the years, and the Friday evening after the the lion dance ceremony, there used to be, maybe still is, sort of a dignitary dragon boat rowing and paddling. I'm sorry, I stand corrected. And when I was president of our Rotary Club, all the different Rotary Club presidents were there. Whoever from City Council was there, the mayor, and so we did a run from the docks down to the stands and back, and I felt that was a very thoughtful way of ensuring that, yes, you got community buy-in. My quick questions are, do all the teams go the same length? I know they don't. Please explain why not. Do they all go the same length along the lake? Yes. Okay, that's the one. And the other one, of the 84 teams that you have now, how many of them have a direct relationship to breast cancer? I know in Calgary and in Edmonton and so on. Are there 3 teams? Are there 4 teams? How many relate to breast cancer?
yes, we do still have a dignitary paddle just following the opening ceremonies. So that still does happen. Not all the time do people want to go. It depends how windy it is. This year we have 7 cancer survivor teams, but there are cancer survivors who paddle on women's teams that don't paddle on a cancer survivor team, and they are all invited to participate. So we try and any cancer survivor that wants to participate, women, we do that now. Is that all your? Oh, the length. So we used to only do 500 meters. Internationally, it's 200, 500, 1,000, 2K. So we started to do the 200s because it's easier to live through a 200 than a 500. It is very hard to live through a 2K, but especially on the corners. So on Friday we do 200s, except the C Cup will be 500 because it traditionally has been, or Saturday, sorry. And then on Sunday, there'll be 500 meter races, and not all teams participate on Sunday, so we have different levels. That's how we've been able to attract more and more teams, is if not everybody has to go hard the whole time. Some people just want to come and experience and actually use it as a team building experience as well. 2Ks, last year in the 2K we had a sink, a swamp boat, and we ended up not being able to finish. So 2Ks are not easy to steer for and are not easy to do. And we don't have any qualifications for that. People just put their name out and say, yeah, I want to try it. So now, this year, we're going to have a relay race instead. 2Ks are hard to organize. They take a long time. And by the end of the day, I've pretty much had it. And so we're going to do something a little more fun and not so intense.
I'm not sure I agree with Karen that the 200 is less enthusiastic than the 5, because the 200 is a sprint. You are going full out for a full 200 meters. The 500 is the long distance run. And so both, I think, use the same energy, at least from my body, it says so.
Yeah, as we know, in the Olympics in France, there was a lot of concern about the safety of the water in the Seine. Of course, the Seine has sewer going in it, etc. Now, Henderson Lake is a little cleaner, but there's a lot of waterfowl there, etc. I just wonder, does the health department provide you with a safety report on the coliform count, or how safe it is, and how confident are you?
Oh. Loaded question. So this year the water is 100 times better than it was last year. So the city has started to put back the aeration there, so you can see all kinds of weird things out on the lake. So they're aerating down underneath. They did also put something along the shore of the golf course this year, and they do monitor, and they do give us all of the rates of whatever it is that we need. We do, the blue-green algae has been our nemesis, and especially those of us who need for international and national events, it's not good because we were off the water quite a bit last year. But at the festival, we also provide more hand washing stations right in the area when you get off the boats.
I thought I would tell you a little bit more about the 2 teak boats that came early on in the Dragon Boat community here. When the Abreast Bridge received our Christine, we no longer needed our teak boat. And so we had sold it to Medicine Hat. The ladies there wanted to have a boat to practice. The selling price was $1, with the proviso that when they were finished with that boat, they would make sure that they sold it only for $1, but again, to promote and support the community of dragon boating. That's the boat that has come back to Lethbridge. The other boat was rented by local teams for a while, and one of those team members was going to Regina for a festival, didn't have a full team. They met up with some people from Winnipeg who didn't have a full team, and as they coalesced into one team, the conversation was that the Regina or the Winnipeg team really needed a boat. So that second boat was sold to them for $1, with the proviso that when they were finished, they would sell that boat to someone else who would continue to support the Dragon Boat community. And they did just that. When they were finished, they sold that boat or donated it to a children's camp in Winnipeg. So there's young kids in summer camp that get to learn how to dragon boat with that second teak boat.
Okay. Would you please discuss the importance of the beer garden?
My fellow Rotarian. All events enjoy to provide fun and entertainment for a price. Is that what you wanted to hear, Richard?
Well, profit abuse.
So typically, now we're talking about money. The funds that were left over at the end of every year, the following year, would be divided amongst the. So that's what had, and would then support whatever projects that they were working on.
Bev Mendel-Atherstone returning with a question. Talking about the quality of the water of the lake, I remember at the beginning when I was rowing, when I was paddling, I'm catching on from bad modeling. We were really concerned about the weeds. I don't know if you call them weeds or reeds or the creatures that are growing under the water, and they would get tangled up in our paddles. And I know that one year there were only there was only space enough for 3 boats across. Then the next year, the city, I think, did some cleanup, and so that we could have four boats across. I'm just wondering what kind of cleanup operations and what is the city doing, to your knowledge, to help make this a better venue? Thank you.
There was a year that we had, or several years, where we had 5 lanes. But then if something went astray with one of the boats, the other boats were way too close, so we had to space it out again. Water quality is paramount. We do meet with the city, and I think if they have the same slough in Regina and they dredged, but dredging is a lot of money. The Henderson community is currently, there's a study being done in the area, so we have been invited to give some opinion and future planning for that. So hopefully something happens. I think we can all say that Henderson Lake is the jewel of our community and needs to be looked after.
I have another really simple question, Karen. The oarsman, the person that steers the boat, is obviously really super important as well. But can you also talk a little bit about the positive side of dragon boating? There's been people going all over the world competing and winning medals. Could you touch upon the competitive aspect of, I mean, it's friendly competitors, but there are some people that's really competitive.
Though the youth that are heading to Germany, 3 of them went to Thailand 2 years ago. So it's really, really hard, right, Chris, to make these national teams. It is not easy. And it's not easy to do it in the middle of the prairies where we have no water. We need to be in an outrigger canoe probably 3 or 4 times a week. That's tough. We've been going out to Park Lake in their weeds because you roll in. I don't know if anybody's ever. They roll if you just twitch your eye. So we need water that we can fall in and then get back out. Training for these competitive really, really hard. Especially when the coaches are not anywhere close to us. The coaches, the juniors, are in the Toronto area. The coaches for the 49 years are in Victoria. Most of them are out east. The para head coaches in Vancouver. So they're all over, and it's really hard to they try their hardest to be able to accommodate us. Last year we did have a national camp here, and the national junior coach is actually coming. The festival is paying to bring him out here to be an official, but the proviso is that he has to run a camp on Saturday night for any youth that want to get close to a national coach. So we try our hardest to, and then I go everywhere and shake hands with everybody, so I can phone any of the national coaches if I wish. When we just started a prairie high performance. They are out of our local club, but they are, there's paddlers from Saskatchewan and Alberta. They are training really hard. They're heading to Vancouver this weekend. It's really hard for them because the coach for that team is out of Edmonton. So there's lots of, it's get up and go and drive and then work and paddle hard.
I was wondering about funding for people who are at that
Absolutely none.
Tell them what you're talking about. They wouldn't hear the question.
Oh, sorry. Knut was asking how much, where funding comes from for these youth. It's out of their pockets. There's no funding anywhere for travel, other than you might be able to use casino money. I don't know. We just had our first casino, so we don't know all of this. But travel for youth is, well, for any competitive teams is really hard to come by. Really hard to come by.
Oops, sorry about that. To say that when I started boating in Calgary, our coach said, "You are not a bunch of old ladies in a boat. You people are competitive dragon boaters," and we looked at him like we thought he had lost his mind, but that's exactly what we were.
Yeah. Members of our team are always quite delighted. Athlete tent area.
I have the privilege of competitive youth. We are amazed at how fit and how dedicated see themselves as being able.
I'm Ian Hurdle, and I have a busman's question for my former profession. I noticed pickleball's gone up a lot, and they've had a huge range of wrist injuries because of it. What happens to you guys?
Shoulders and buttocks. Actually, the stroke has changed over the years to take into account proper shoulder use and overuse. So yeah, we do the Dragon Boat Canada is where we get all of our stuff, and shoulder health is very, very important.
Our coach on our team is always telling us, use your large muscles. And that's the large muscle from here to your toes. So it's actually bracing our feet against the seat ahead of us. And every stroke, we're using our leg. And that means then we're using all our muscles back, we're using our abs, and that relieves a lot of the tension. You never want to pass your arms. You won't make it through before you are exhausted and your arms are water. So if you're using your entire body, you're not stressing any one particular part. So hopefully we are preventing injuries.
Thank you. Before I ask you to give us maybe a message, I'd like to announce next week's speaker. The next week's speaker, it's a fresh start. It'll be Bruce Holstead. Addiction recovery. What are the main issues involved before, during, and after treatment? So, and will be followed by our. Okay, so I know everybody will be there next week. Carrot cake, okay, carrot cake, better still. Would you like to have a take-home message before we adjourn?
I think the festival provides the best free weekend, and we have the absolute best venue. You can see the races from any vantage point from around the lake. The entertainment is all free, and if you want to buy a beer, like Richard says, good on ya. But it's a great weekend. It's great for, there's a kids zone, there's something for everybody, and we hope you come out.
As a member of the Abreast Bridge, we always feel so delighted. Best festival going. This is the lady. kingpin behind the enthusiasm, the coaching, the training, and the planning, the DASA, and we owe her a great deal of thanks.
I do have to say that I have the best group of people who surround me, and it's not just me, it's everybody who's willing to put a huge amount of work into this big event and into our sport. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We hope to see you next week. Thank you very much.